Let me show you how to create a simple Pickleball league or tournament tracker in Excel or Google Sheets. You will be able to select from a drop-down menu and enter match data on one tab. Each match has 2 players per team, and you enter their scores. All the player statistics are calculated on a separate tab, starting with the ranking of all the players, number of games played, number of games won and lost, and the win percentage. You will also see the total points scored by each player's team, the points scored against them, the point differential, and the average margin per game. At the top, there is a quick stats section for the tournament or a league, showing total games played, the top scorer, the player with the best average margin per game, and the player ranked number 1 along with their stats. You may already use an app like Swish or something similar, but those can be hard to read and difficult to see all the games and standings overall. Having everything in Excel or Google Sheets makes it much easier to see the big picture. You can grab a copy of this worksheet in my Etsy store, but I will also show you how to build your own tracker and how to customize it however you like. Let's start by adding some Pickleball game data for women's doubles. I will enter 2 names for Team 1 and 2 names for Team 2, along with the game scores. Then I will number the matches for an 8 to 12 week league. I will keep entering more game data so we have a solid set of information to work with. Enough to build out the standings and statistics and really see the full picture. I will also start formatting the tracker by adding cell fills, changing fonts, and adding titles and headings. I like to add a clean white background to my template so the headings and data stands out clearly. To make each game easier to read, I will add a light border to the cells. I will also add 2 more columns that label each team's scores as either a win or a loss for quick reference. The formula checks whether Team's 1 score is higher than Team's 2 score. If it is labeled as a W for win. If it is not, it labels it as an L for loss. Once I copied the formula down, I notice I'm getting an L in empty rows, so I need to wrap the formula in an if statement so that blank rows stay blank. For Team 2's win or loss column, I copy the same formula and update it to reference Team 2's scores instead. I will clean up the formatting a bit more and rename the Worksheet tab. Then I will add a second tab to hold all the league or tournament standings and statistics. I will apply Century Gothic font across both tabs. The statistics I want to track on the standings tabs are rank, player name, games played, wins, losses, win percentage, points for and points against, the point differential, and average margin per game. I will apply the same formatting style from the Matches tab and list all the players in the league or tournament. I will paste all the names into the player column, then go to Data, remove duplicates to clean up the list. I also want to sort the names in an alphabetical order, so I will select them and go to Data, Sort. I will add few more players to bring the total to 20 players for this example. Now I will go back to the Matches tab and create a drop-down list in the player name cells. I will select those cells, go to Data, Data Validation, and point it to the player list on the Standings tab. Now I can either select the name from the drop-down or start typing to find it. This speeds up data entry and cuts down on spelling mistakes. I will enter more game data to make this a realistic example. Once I have 72 games entered, I will freeze the panes for easier scrolling and reference. I will also add alternating row colors for better readability. Now I'm ready to start building the formulas on the standing step. To count how many games each player has played, I will use the COUNTIF formula. I look in column B on the Matches tab to see if Angela, my first player, appears there, and count that. Then I will do the same for columns C, D, and E, since a player can appear in any of the 4-player columns. You can also just select the full range of column B through E and run a single COUNTIF across all of them. You have to use absolute reference for the range. I will also wrap the formula in an if statement so that the cell stays blank if no player is listed in column C on the Standings tab. To count wins, I will use COUNTIFs, which lets you apply multiple conditions at once. I need to look in column B for Angela as a Team 1 player, then check column H for a win and count whenever both are true. That gives me wins when Angela is the first player on Team 1. Then I need to repeat for each of the other 3-player position, 1B on Team 1 and then 2A and 2B on Team 2. I will wrap the whole thing in an if statement to return blank if no player name is listed. Now I can see that Angela played 15 games total and won 5 of them. To get the number of losses, I simply subtract wins from games played. I will wrap it in an if statement to keep the cells blank if no player is listed. To calculate win percentage, you need to divide the number of wins by the total games played. I will format this as a percentage. I will also wrap it in an if statement that returns blank if either the player name is missing or games played is 0, which prevents a division error. In our case, Angela's win percentage is 33%. She won 5 and lost 10 out of the 15 games. To calculate the total points scored by a player's team, I will use the SUMIF formula. First, I will specify the range, column B on the Matches tab. Then set Angela's name as the criteria. When her name is found, I will sum the points in column F for that row. That gives me all the points her team scored when she played as the first player on Team 1. I will then copy and adjust the formula for each of the other 3-player positions. Then I will wrap the whole thing in an if statement to return blank if the player name is missing. For points against, I copy the points for formula and adjust the last part of each SUMIF to sum the opposing team's score instead of the player's team score. Looking at Angela's stats, her team scored 99 points across all her games, while her opponents scored 144 points against her. Point differential is simply total points scored minus total points scored against. So Angela's point differential is -45. Her opponents outscored her team by 45 points total. Average margin per game tells you how much a player wins or loses on average. It is more useful than point differential alone because it accounts for players who have played different number of games. I will take the point differential and divide it by games played. Then wrap it in an if statement to return blank if the player name is missing or games played is 0. So now, for example, Angela with a -3 average margin loses her games by 3 points on average, something like 8 to 11. This stat shows how dominant a player really is. Here's another example. All 3 of these players, Fiona, Mina, and Nina, have the same 67% win rate, but their average margins are very different. Fiona loses by 1 point per game on average, Mina wins by 2.1, and Nina wins by 2.4 on average. Now I will calculate each player's rank. If I use a simple rank formula on win percentage alone, I end up with a lot of ties. In this example, 6 players all are listed as number 1 because they have the same win percentage. So that is not useful on its own. So instead, I will use SUMPRODUCT, which lets me break ties automatically across 2 columns at once. The formula goes through every player and asks 2 questions. Does this player have a higher win percentage than me? If yes, they rank that player above. If there's a tie on win percentage, does this player have a better average margin per game? If yes, they also rank above that player. SUMPRODUCT counts how many players meet either condition. Then we add +1 to turn it into a rank number. If 3 players rank above me, I am ranked 4. The 2 ifs at the start just keep the cells blank if there is no player name or no games played yet. So the ranking is straightforward. Win percentage first and average margin per game as the tiebreaker, all in one formula. The plus sign acts as an OR. A player ranks above me if they have a better win percentage, or if we are tied and they have a better average margin. The multiplication sign acts as an AND. Both conditions must be true at the same time for the tiebreaker to apply. In our example, Angela is ranked 17th out of 20 players, and Nina is ranked 1st. Both Nina and Mina have a 67% win rate, but Nina's average margin per game is higher, so Nina takes the top spot. Now that I have rankings and statistics for all players, I will fix some formatting, then build the quick stats section at the top of the standings table. I want to see the total rounds completed in the league or tournament, the top scorer, and the player with the best average margin per game. Below that, I want to highlight the current leader along with their win percentage and average margin per game. I will create headings, merge some cells to get a clean layout, and use borders to separate the sections. To find the number of rounds completed, I will look for the highest match number in the game number column on the Matches tab. In our example, that is 72. To find the top scorer, I will use the index, match, and max formulas. Think of it this way. Match finds the position of the highest value in the points column. Max finds the biggest number first, and then match locates exactly which row it is in. Index then uses that row number to go back to the player name column and return the name at that position. In our example, that is Mina Cho. Similarly, to find the player with the best average margin per game, I will use the same index match combination, but this time I will look in the average margin column and return the name from the player column. In our example, that is Nina Patel. To find the player ranked number 1, I will use index match again, but this time search the rank column for the number 1 and return the matching player's name. In our example, the leader is Nina. To pull the leader's win percentage, I will use index match to look up the name found in B7 against the player's name column, then return the corresponding win percentage from column G. And finally, I will use the same index match, duo, to return Nina's average margin per game from column K. Then I will apply a custom number format to display the plus or minus sign in front of the number. One more feature I want to add to the Matches tab. Because there are so many games, I want to be able to quickly see all the games played by a specific player. First, I will create a drop-down box using data validation and point it at the players list. Then I will add conditional formatting to the matches table so that any row containing the selected player gets highlighted. This highlights a row whenever the name selected in cell K2 is found in any of the 4 player columns, B, C, D, or E. Notice the $sign is fixed on the column, but not on the row number, so the formula checks correctly across all rows. I will add a highlight color and then test it with few different players. This works great. The only thing left is testing everything to make sure all the formulas and features are working correctly. You can create your own Pickleball tracker or grab a copy from my Etsy store. Thanks so much for watching and have fun playing Pickleball.